So let us look at brand new questions on what on as a solution architect associate C03. So you can subscribe to this channel. We keep posting latest content to help you prepare for cloud certification. Which sort of cloud? AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. Become a member, Cloud Kernel or Cloud Ninja member. A lot of these questions will be posted for the paid group. Okay. Lunch is not always free. There are some things which are free. Important things will be in the paid group. So you are a doctor. What is the pain point here? Millions of requests. You want millisecond latency. When you think of millisecond latency, think about Netflix. When you are watching something, if buffering happens, will you like it? No, you will immediately switch to Amazon Prime because you don't like buffering. You yourself may be lazy, you yourself may be not working at your office promptly, but Netflix you want very fast, right? And you want with least operational overhead. See, you are lazy, so you want to do less work. So doing less work, how to get rich? Doing less work, how to get rich? You use option D. So option D will make it possible. How it will make it possible? You can deploy CloudFront. See, whenever you think about millisecond latency, think about CloudFront distribution. Whenever you have millisecond latency, think about Netflix. Whenever you think about Netflix, think about CloudFront distribution. This is why we are telling option D looks correct. Okay, you deploy CloudFront, you use API gateway Lambda functions for backend APIs. And question already says you want least operational overhead. These are the reasons. It will give least operational overhead. Serverless architecture. That means you don't have to manage servers. Like you buy a car, that is your ownership. Whether the servicing happened in time, if there is any parts failure, whether the insurance got renewed on time, everything you have to take care. But serverless, you just rent it from huts. Whether the insurance is on, maintenance has been done, car is clean, everything is taken care by huts. That is why serverless is better. Scalability, you don't have to do something yourself for scalability. CloudFront, it can handle massive traffic spikes. That is what you need. You have your question is telling that there will be spike whenever you have this requirement that one deal a day website. That means s- sometimes there will not be spike. Some days there will be lot of spike for certain set of products. So that time you need all resources firing all your shots like, and you also need to be cost effective. It's not like okay, I can spend millions just to meet this requirement. No, you have to be cost effective and it should be simple to manage also. See, when you are telling we will store the data in DynamoDB, so DynamoDB is a NoSQL database. It is a database on steroid or on Viagra. It is highly scalable. You don't have to do much. So minimal management. If you take relational databases like MySQL, you have to do lot of management. That is why that will not be good. DynamoDB is good. So D is correct. Now A, B, and C. These are not going to work. So in this channel, we also tell you why it will not work. That does not happen anywhere else with clarity, with proper justification. See, we want to manage with less operational complexity. A increases operational complexity. Why? Because you are going to manage multiple S3 buckets. You see this? This will increase your operational overhead. B, it requires more operational overhead. B, option B, because EC2 instance, auto scaling group, and multiple ALBs, this increases your operational overhead. C, when you use EKS, it requires managing the Kubernetes cluster. Now, if you yourself are managing it, it will add your operational burden. Not good. Option D is a much better option. See, this next question is a uh, storage question. Storage. Okay. Looking at the question, you should first understand what topic is this related to. And what they are telling is, I don't have a pattern. Sometimes more files comes, sometimes less file comes. I don't have a pattern. That means unpredictable pattern. So we want to store in such scenarios. Second, they are saying, boss, whatever people are storing, data should never be lost. It should be resilient to data loss, even if an availability zone goes down. Plus, third point was cost. Like you always heard your father telling, spend less money. Uh, Only probably your wife says spend more money. That is the only person in your life who will tell spend more money. So you have to spend less money also. So that is the case. What should we do? We should use intelligent tiering. See, because intelligent tiering, why I'm saying, you don't know the pattern. You don't know when I have to store more, when I have to store less. That first thing. Second is, you don't want loss of data also. So intelligent tiering, once your data becomes old, like infrequently accessed based on the pattern, it will move between different storages. So that way you will save your cost, because question is clearly telling, boss, consider savings. That is one thing. Other thing is, frequent and infrequent access. This guy will automatically decide. You don't have to do much. So unpredictable patterns it will take care. So that solves our problem. See, the problem with standard is that your cost will be high, because you are storing everything in active zone. So you you will also store infrequently accessed files in standard, and it will be your hot zone, and you will end up paying more money. C is telling, I'm going to use infrequent access IA. So this, if you use no, you cannot guarantee savior from data loss. You will have to do manual management and operational audit, and increases risk for errors if one AZ goes down. So because this data is stored only on one AZ, if that goes down, you are screwed up. Single AZ. You see this? So intelligent tiering is what you should use. See this next question. This There is a company, they store backup files where in S3. They are storing in S3. So imagine this is your S3. They are storing backup files here. And for 1 month the files are used. After that, if the files are not accessed. But can you delete the file if they are not accessed? No. They are telling, boss, keep the file. Like your salary slip. For the month of March, you get a slip. Maybe in the month of April for 30 days you are accessing. After that, you don't care. Why? Because now you got salary for month of April. Okay, and the salary you got in the month of March, you already spent. So you don't care. But I still have to keep it, because you might come back after 3 months and look for something. You might be applying for loans. Bank will ask for salary slip for last 6 months. You are applying for visa. Bank is asking for salary slips for 6 months. That is why you cannot delete the file. You will have to store the file indefinitely. So we want a storage solution. See, this is again a storage topic, but everything you want to do considering cost, most cost effective, most cost effective. What will you do? This is the apt solution, option B. You have to use a lifecycle configuration. Lifecycle configuration means, see, in most of the projects we do this. We don't want to do this stuff manually. We configure it and say, boss, Arey Baba, after 1 month, automatically the program takes care of moving the files from where? From S3 standard to deep archive. From your normal storing zone to your freezer in your fridge. You have a fridge. It is a cooling device. You move it from the normal zone where you keep vegetables, etc., to the freezer. Like you do it for meat to keep it in the freezer because you want to store it for a longer time, use it whenever required. That is something which is our answer. See this next one, a company is seeing they have lot of EC2 instances and they are seeing, boss, our costs are so high. And the billing team says, I'll tell you, buddy, why it is high. The billing team is telling, I can tell you why it is high. And they are telling, you are paying this much high because of vertical scaling. Many times vertical scaling are happening for two EC2 instances. Okay. So now you see you are an architect, solution architect. So you have created a graph for what? You are comparing last 2 months of EC2 cost and you are doing a in-depth analysis to identify why this vertical scaling happens, who does it, which system does it, why it is happening. You have to do this. You have to create this. Okay, this is the question for you, and you have to generate with least operational overhead. How will you do this? Simple. You have cost explorer granular feature. You use it for in-depth. Do not create a whole sort of solution like option D where they are telling, hey buddy, let's use quick site, let's use S3 as a source. No, boss. Certification checks if you understand what is given to you. God checks if you are making use of whatever is given to you. But what you are doing, you are telling, I got X, but I want Y and Z also. And you are not thankful for X, and you are not making much use of X. You are saving X in the bank, and you are sad. So that is not what is required. This is the next one. There is a company, they have an application. What is the application made of? Of Lambda. They make use of Lambda function. For what? Lambda will accept, it will accept information from the API gateway. After accepting, what will it do? It will send to a database. This is the database. This is Lambda. Lambda gets the data, it accepts and sends it to Postgres, Aurora. What is Aurora? AWS has given you a good database called Aurora. Now, during proof of concept, you decide to increase Lambda quotas significantly to handle. Why do we increase Lambda quota? Because you are going to handle large volume. So you want to make sure your Lambda can handle it. So whenever this large volume data scalability comes, you have to recommend a new design. These are the options, four options. Here, option D is correct. Why D is correct? Because it is telling I will use two lambda function. What for? What for? One Lambda function, I will receive the information. Second Lambda function, I will load the data in database. Okay, and I will use SQS queue. This is a detailed explanation. Why SQS? Because you want scalability. So that will give you scalability. SQS is a middleman kind of thing. It stores a lot of information and it keeps sending. There is a producer and consumer concept. So you have this SQS. There is a producer here. There is a consumer. So it keeps getting data and it keeps sending. Instead of sending, the consumer says, "Gives me that." Pull happens. Pull. This is a pull. Pull. Okay. Second, SQS you can decouple. See, SQS can keep receiving the data, but it may not be sending the data to the database at that same pace. So that is decoupled stuff. And your configuration effort is less here. Okay. So that is why we are saying we are achieving better scalability. We are reducing the risk of exceeding lambda quotas. See, we don't want to exceed lambda quota also. That is why we are using SQS. And this approach is making use of serverless computing for high data volumes. That is why D is your answer. Now, why A, B, C are wrong? See, if you do DAX, it is very complicated and you want to minimize your config effort. So, DAX will not help you with that. And A is telling we will refactor Lambda function and we will use Tomcat. So, this is a heavy change. You are telling I will not use Lambda at all. Because whatever AWS gave, you should use that from a certification standpoint. And C says it's similar to D, but instead of SQS, they want to use SNS. SNS is just for notification sending emails and etc. Here there is no requirement for sending emails or sending push notifications. That is why option D is correct. Okay, so this is the next question. You have a cloud deployment uh, and you need to review it to make sure there are no unauthorized config changes. What will you do to accomplish this? Anything with configuration. This is a AWS config question. So AWS config, this one is your answer because anything to do with config is AWS config. Why? Because it is the most viable solution. You can assess, audit, and evaluate the configurations. You can use this to create custom rules and you can detect unauthorized changes. That is exactly what you config using is the best practice because it is purpose built. It is having continuous monitoring capabilities. It can do historical tracking to track down the source of unauthorized change and you can create custom rules to meet your specific compliance requirements. Now, if you use trusted advisor, this has a different purpose. What is the purpose? It will only help you with best practices. Okay. And if you use inspector, inspector also has different purpose. It is used for security assessment. And S3 server access logging, this has a very different purpose. It logs API calls made to S3 bucket, very different purpose. It will not help you with monitoring your configuration changes. This is not its purpose. So option A is our final answer. See the next one, you are launching a new application which will display application metrics on CloudWatch dashboard. CloudWatch is a monitoring service. There is a dashboard. It will tell you how much is the CPU utilization, if there is a threshold breach of CPU, RAM, and etc. Your product manager, they need to access the dashboard, access the dashboard periodically, and they don't have AWS account. Now you should provide access to the product manager and you should provide access using least privilege. What is least privilege? If someone goes to your office and they just want to visit reception, don't give them access to all the floors. That is what is called least privilege. So we should meet, how should we meet this requirement? First thing, First thing you have to do is option A. What you have to do is you share the dashboard from the CloudWatch console with the product manager, where you enter the email address, you complete the sharing steps. You provide a shareable link. This will take care of sharing the dashboard with this guy. And why it is most uh, suitable here in this case, because it follows the principle of least privilege, because you are not creating AWS account and etc for it. They just want to visit reception. You are giving access just to the reception. It is convenient for this guy also because you have shared the link. That guy can click the dashboard link straightforward and manage the solution. And from a security standpoint, the dashboard sharing mechanisms typically have built-in security controls. So CloudWatch is a product which is already having security controls in place. You don't have to worry, my friend. See, why are other options not suitable? B and C, you are telling we will create IAM users with read-only and view-only access grants for the product manager. Now, this violates the principle of least privilege. This guy doesn't need all of those kind of access. Option D is wrong because you are deploying a Bastion server. It is an overkill for this scenario because you need additional infrastructure complexity and you are adding security risks. Why do you want to make it so complex? That is why option A is our suitable answer in this case. See, you are migrating your applications to AWS. Okay, you have different accounts. In AWS, you have different accounts. But if you have different accounts, how do you centrally manage those accounts? You use AWS organizations. Using organizations, you can do it. Okay, that is fine. But what, as a solution architect, what you have to do? So your security team, they are saying, boss, I need a SSO across all company accounts. What does SSO do? Like if you log in once and multiple applications will use the same. Like if you work for any IT company, they already have SSO. You log in once into your company portal and then other links that you click, it automatically logs you in using that SSO. So the company, they must continue managing the users and groups in its on-premises Active Directory. They already have Active Directory. They don't want you to use IAM and Active Directory on AWS. They already have it on premises. Using that, SSO needs to be set up. How will you meet these requirements? Our answer would be option B in this case. We will enable SSO from AWS SSO console. We will create two-way forest trust to connect the company's self-managed Active Directory by using SSO. So let me. So first thing is centralized SSO means AWS SSO gives you centralized platform for managing the users. Second, Active Directory integration. It allows you to extend your on-premises Active Directory to AWS Cloud. Using this, you can extend it because we don't want to spend additional money creating Active Directory infrastructure on AWS. Third is two-way forest trust. That means you establish a bidirectional trust relationship between on-prem and AWS directory service. This is required. So that's why this option is. Now option A is wrong because it is only talking about one-way trust. A one-way trust would allow authentication from on-prem to AWS, not the other way around. What about other way around? So you are handicapped here. They have only given you one-way trust. Option C is wrong. Why? Because it is telling AWS directory service without using SSO. So directory service can extend on-premises Active Directory to AWS. It does not provide centralized SSO capabilities. So this centralized SSO capabilities option will be missed with option C because option C, if you see here, it is not talking about setting up SSO. That is why option C is wrong. Okay, and let us look at option D. Why it is wrong? Option D is telling we will use on-premises IDP. This approach, if you use this, you will have to deploy identity provider on-premises. Now, what have you done? You have increased the complexity and you need more maintenance overhead now. So D is also wrong because IDP will not work in this case. Our answer in this case will be option B. See, there is a company, they provide VoIP services, that is voice over internet protocol. Okay, something like Skype and etc. Okay, how are they doing it? They make use of EC2 instance and they already have auto scaling and they have put this into multiple regions. Okay, that is fine. As a solution architect, what you have to do? You have to route users to the region with lowest latency. If a user is in India, route them to India data center. If the user is in California, route them to US West data center. That is what you have to do. And there also needs to be, you have to configure automated failover between regions. So how will you meet these requirements? So this is about routing, network routing, network routing. So will you use application load balancer? No, you will use network load balancer. This is a straightforward answer. So B and D are wrong because there is no use of ALB. We have to use NLB. Now let me explain you why C is the answer. C is the answer because there is a UDP support. Okay, the best choice for UDP traffic as it is a layer 4 transport layer. It can handle UDP packets efficiently. ALB is, it is a layer 7 support. So that is why it is suited for HTTPS. Not in this case, it is not suitable. Here you have to do latency based routing, automated failure, global reach. All of them are possible. So in summary, option C combines the strength of NLB, Route 53 and CloudFront to provide very high performance, low latency, and it gives you automated failover. Okay, why other options are wrong? Option A, the option A they are telling, boss, we will use global accelerator. Okay, global accelerator, it is designed for TCP traffic, not UDP. Our use case is a UDP use case. Okay, now you may say, what if we still use it? What if we still use it? If we use it, it will lead to performance issues and unexpected behavior. So do not do that. Second, option B is also wrong. Why? Because first thing I already told ALB. ALB is a problem. ALB is not suitable for UDP traffic. First. Second, you are using global accelerator with ALB. It increases overhead. Option D, why it is wrong? Again, ALB because ALB does not support UDP traffic. Second, Route 53 weighted records. You you are saying dynamically you are trying to adjust based on latency. This means traffic might not always be routed to lowest latency point. Okay, if you do that, traffic may not be routed to the lowest data. Say Indian users should be routed to India data centers. That may not happen here, and that is your requirement. That is why option C is our answer in this case. Okay, what is happening in the next question? You have a development team. You run monthly intensive tests on general purpose RDS. Okay, the testing lasts for 48 hours once a month. Once a month, you are doing it for 2 days. 48 hours means 2 days, and is the only process that uses the database. No other process is using. That means there is no other bottleneck from other processes. The team wants to reduce the cost of running the test without reducing the compute. What solution is most cost effective in this case? See, most cost effective in this case is option A. We stop the DB instance when tests are completed, and then we restart when we require it because we require it only for 2 days in a month. So why will it be? Why will we keep it open whole time? So stopping the DB2 instance or DB instance, it when not in use provides most cost savings without affecting compute memory capacity, etc. Option B is wrong. See, option B is saying, guys, I will scale down when not in use, but you are still having it, right? It's like you have a Hertz rental car, you only need for 2 days a month. Now you're telling, boss, I will keep the car idle. I'm not using it. I have removed the petrol also. That does not help. You still have to pay for your Hertz rental car. It does not help. That is why this option is wrong. C is wrong. C is saying, guys, let us create a snapshot when tests are performed, completed, and then terminate the DB2 instance. The problem with terminating is it will save cost, no doubt about it. But you every time will have to create and restore the snapshots, which requires additional cost and time. And it is a less efficient process. That is why C is wrong. Why is D wrong? Because you are modifying the instance to low capacity instance. You are just saying that, okay, instead of having a sedan, I will have a very small car. But boss, you don't need that car for 28 days in a month. You only need for 2 days in a month. So why are you still keeping the car with you? That is why D is wrong. So option A will be our final answer in this case. So guys, this brings us to the end of part one. We will post many more such latest questions and become a member, Cloud Kernel, Cloud Ninja member. Cloud Ninja member will also help you. Cloud Kernel member will also help you gain access to all of these important questions. I am posting these all latest questions in this, I would say, playlist. So you access this playlist to get all the latest questions. All previous questions are still valid, but going through the latest content will also help you prepare with the latest ones. If you want, you can only focus on these questions. These are all latest ones. Up to you. Subscribe to this channel. Remember, this channel is all about helping you with cloud certifications, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. We have 1,000+ videos on this channel, all dedicated to help you with practice questions, answers, and so on. It teaches you techniques to arrive at the right answer, weed out the wrong options, and we go into details of explaining why we have weeded out the wrong options. So stay focused, stay tuned. We will again see you in the next part.